This is the part that no one tells you. Even when your specific person looks distant or like they've moved away, your connection is not truly gone. The real shift happens when you stop responding to that old version of them and start aligning with the version of them who is already thinking about you. Hey guys, welcome back to another video coming to you from very rainy, grey England. But yeah, we are almost at the end of the year, and today, for any new viewers or returning viewers, welcome. We are delving even more into your specific person manifestation, or just manifesting whatever relationship you would like. This is going to touch on exactly what's going on with the energetic connection, your SP's energy, how they are responding. Energy is obviously the most powerful element when it comes to manifestation, the quantum science behind it all. So I'm delving into this today. So stay tuned to hear all my advice and thoughts on this. And do thumbs up, subscribe, turn on that notification bell if you start watching and you find that it's useful, enjoyable, you would like to see more of my content. If you haven't done so yet, I'd very much appreciate it. There may also be a hype button because I recently got notified by YouTube that I'm eligible. So if anyone is eligible and finds this video useful and thinks other people would benefit, I would appreciate the hyping. But yeah, everything is going to be popped on screen. If you are considering coaching, you want to see my special offers and discounts, I'm going to start promoting it a little bit on my social media because I do have sales that are ongoing and they're really good value offers, very competitive pricing for my coaching. Or you can sign up as a member where you get bonus exclusive content every single month. I'm actually going to start asking the members, what content they want to see this month because you guys get to vote. So yeah, that is going to be all linked below. And now let's jump into the video. Your mind is going to see that past behavior, the past state of the relationship and contact you've had as this objective truth. It obviously holds on to what is in front of it, which is the natural good way for your conscious mind to work. Obviously, it's your intellect, your rational thinking, your ego and sense of safety, of understanding. This is how to analyze my life and what's going on and what needs to be resolved by looking at what's in front of you. So unfortunately, all of the past behavior, the past memories and assumptions that have been built up is what feeds into your mind, consciously and therefore also subconsciously, holding on to that as a current reality, even though both of your internal states will have shifted. So that's given that, of course, you've been persisting, not like just the second you decide you want to manifest a relationship. It's also about, actually progressing through that, getting to a point of saturating your subconscious. Your SP is going to be responding, whoever the relevant, person for a relationship is responding. So your internal states have already begun that shift. You've already been conforming. Now, if you apply some self-reflection, then you definitely will see it within yourself. If you haven't yet, you are definitely conforming. If you've been, like I said, persisting, applying some repetition, then of course it's been working for you. And if you are at that point where you're kind of unsure and you feel a bit let down, disappointed or confused, think to yourself, like, what has actually shifted? How do I feel? How do I think? Let me think back to a couple of weeks ago. Where was my mind at? What state was I in? You will probably see at least some improvements. So when someone's emotional state and desires and feelings and the way they see things, their perspective starts to shift, and obviously it's tied to their emotions. It's not just something insignificant, like it's something that they care about, to do with, interpersonal connections, relationships in this case, of course, then they might seem to pull away. So your specific person may be reflecting hot and cold, which there's a multitude of reasons when manifesting why this might happen. But of course, also just psychologically speaking, when a person's emotions start to shift or evolve or deepen for someone and there's a significant shift coming in, they can pull away. Externally, it might look like they're pulling away or they're not instantly opening up to you and instantly conforming the way you would ideally, maybe want or, daydream about. But before they do move closer and take those steps forward and take inspired action and reach out and the relationship itself develops, it can seem like, externally on the outside, they're pulling away or they're not fully shifting. They don't seem to be emotionally warm yet. If you are at a point where your SP and the relevant person, if you're manifesting someone new, but I'll do a whole video about that in general, but your SP will be conforming and starting to shift. Of course, emotionally, they're softening, they're opening up, they are conforming to it, they are, seeing the relationship more positively. But it's natural for your mind and your body. They're obviously in like this cohesive state where they're completely interconnected, of course. Your nervous system, neural pathways, the way you think, all of it is interconnected. Like your mind is so powerful. But when you're seeing that and you're not seeing your SP conform or, you know, come across as feeling a positive way or shifting closer to the relationship, your own nervous system is going to respond to that and see the distance and assume that, you know, okay, they're being silent, they're pulling away, they're so cold, you know, what's going on? And it's taken as a sign of rejection or a lack or a failure of the relationship. Like, it's normal for doubtful thoughts to come up, for your mind and your body to still respond and hold on to what you've seen until now, or simply read into and react more strongly to those negative moments rather than focusing on the subtle positive shifts that are coming in. But what you have to remember is that your SP, and generally speaking, is likely to be a mirror reflection of where you are at internally, your internal tone. If you're questioning things, you're doubtful, you're still letting that fear take hold of you and think of all the doubts and things that could go wrong, then they're going to be mirroring back to you that in their own ways, right? They're not going to instantly wake up and say, oh my gosh, I'm in love with this person, because first of all, that's not even naturally how it happens. But they're not going to get to that state if you're still holding on to doubt, you're scared, you're replaying past rejection or concerns and worries, and you're holding back out of fear and kind of self-preservation. They're going to be mirroring what's going on internally. It's not about your words, it's not about the actions. The 3D reality is, you know, to some extent completely irrelevant, because it's just playing out what's been happening until now. It's not going to instantly reflect your thoughts or, you know, the conforming process directly. It's not, oh, you've had a positive dream, here's a positive action in your 3D reality. It doesn't quite reflect like that. It can be, it's kind of like non-linear. Like, your manifestation progress does not go in one perfect straight quick line. It can look up and down, because obviously internally, your emotions, your mental state, it takes time to stabilize, and it takes time to get consistent with that. So what you might see is your own old insecurities and internal struggles that you've gone through with the relationships, with dating, with your specific SP, whatever connection has been there, that old insecurity tied to that, whatever negative thoughts, you guys will know for yourself individually what you've experienced, that can rise to the surface, that can come up. And you have to remember that before it can reflect into your 3D, it starts internally. So I always remind people of this, because it's easy to get impatient or watch content or read about stories about things happening really quickly and think, you know, a coach said this statement or titled a video this thing, therefore, you know, if I don't manifest my SP super quickly or I don't get the relationship I want, then something's wrong. But you have to remember that bond strengthens and builds internally. Obviously, it's all to do with the emotions and thoughts in general, any relationship or dating, but especially with manifesting, the thoughts, the change in perspective, the change in feelings, the inspiration that needs to come up naturally for your SP mainly, but you will experience that conforming as well, of course. So that bond and those shifts that come in somewhat parallel to each other, you and your SP, that needs to start internally before your 3D can reflect it. How can you position yourself further, have that internal balance and that internal progress where you're matching the reality that you want to experience? Because there cannot be a mismatch. You cannot maintain and sustain those outcomes and have permanent, you know, achieve your permanent end goal if you're not internally there yet. Your 3D just won't do that. So you might, you just won't be able to sustain it if internally you're not matching your reality. So if you want that end result of a relationship, building a connection with your SP, then you need to become and focus on the version that already has that, not the version of you who is still waiting in a lack, waiting for reassurance, waiting for your SP to make you feel better. You have to become the version and make the choice, focus on yourself, which is super important and healthy anyway, of being the version and thinking, you know, how would I think, how would I act, how would I see myself, how would I speak to myself, what do I need to resolve and let go of to be that version who is confident, chosen and secure, not the version who's waiting to feel those things, waiting to be validated for that. So try and react and correct your mental reactions if needed with your mental diet when you see or think something that you know, is the old story, is doubtful, negative, you get triggered by something in your 3D, even if it's direct contact with your SP. react to the version of them who you would already see as committed, open, warm, communicative with you, communicating how they feel. That's really what everyone wants, to be appreciated and valued. And let go of and recognize there is a distinction. There is a complete shift from that old version of them, the old version of relationships, dating, or the old version of your SP who maybe wasn't open, wasn't ready, whatever, healthy element that can be shifted around, and isn't an actual character trait of theirs, but is just like a behavior or an insecurity. Think of them as having moved on, healed, evolved from that old version. You're now focusing on the version of them who, like I said, is committed, open, warm with you, loving with you. That's the version you want to react to and hold on to. And in terms of the inner story, conversation, the inner dialogue you're going to work on and that you want to really tap into and focus, so meaning your mental diet, but obviously the literal inner conversations that you have, whether it's just affirmations, maybe scripting, or just a couple thoughts throughout the day. It doesn't have to be a full-on conversation. It should be, natural and enjoyable, but whatever comes up, usually when people get to that point, they do start to talk to themselves and think to themselves from the new version. So the version of you from that new story, which is also going to be a natural impact and outcome when you focus on the version of them that has mutual feelings, that everything is mutual. You are, one together now, you're holding hands, you're literally moving closer towards each other. That's going to change and help shift around the way you even see them, the way you think about them, the things you say to yourself. So when you're not seeing what you want and you're seeing maybe silence, maybe what you might presume is rejection, shift it all around. Whether it's an old memory that's coming up and you think, I have to protect myself, my mind's telling me this, the ego's telling me this because it wants to protect me, prevent rejection, being hurt, being heartbroken. It's totally natural and normal to have those thoughts come up. You're not just going to ignore every negative thing and say, I'm just going to go into this experience perfectly confident. That's usually not how things go, and that's fine. But instead of thinking of it as rejection, think of it as buffering. It's like you're watching a movie on a platform and it's buffering. It's just pause, but it's worked 100 times before. I'm not going to immediately switch my TV off and start calling my, service provider and telling them there's a breakdown. You wait a couple seconds. So treat it in the same way where you just say, okay, it's buffering, the 3D, there's a buffering moment. I just need to push forward, keep thinking from all these positive thoughts, see my self-concept, my inner conversations from a positive light, that I have exactly what I want. I'm the version who has what I want, and wait for it and say, no, this isn't some final rejection. It's a buffering moment. So a lot of this, of course, is behind the scenes, but these are suggestions of what your specific person might actually be going through. I delve into this deeper in other videos on my channel, some of my most popular videos. So please do take a look, about the behind the scenes content. But with your SP, what could be going on behind the scenes is that they feel closer to you. There's that mental connection. Their emotions might start to shift, but there's just a closeness being created, whether it's a bridge of events starting to build. They might not even obviously understand. They might find it very random or out of the blue. They're thinking about you a bit more, having more positive thoughts about you and just feeling a little bit closer to you. If there were negative memories or negative moments that maybe both of you held on to, maybe there was a breakup, mentally and emotionally, there's going to be more positive power in those memories, in thinking of you and being reminded of you, birds before land that they might be experiencing. And that is, obviously part of the inspired action building up, just the conforming process. It does need to happen naturally. Like I said, they don't just wake up and say, I'm in love with this person or something like that. It has to obviously build up in a natural human way, but there's going to be this emotional charge to those memories. It's going to be more positive. Maybe their perspective will change around. And what might also happen is, maybe daydreaming, imagining that relationship, imagining scenarios, like I said, it could even just be like a daydream that comes up, a literal dream, that's quite common as well. Imagining those future moments with you. And then that, of course, leads into that inspired action as well. So all of that progress and those updates, they come together when you start seeing your SP in a consistent way from that version. So of course, consciously, it doesn't fully make sense. It's not like a tangible or easy to understand thing. And they might not understand, what's actually going on, why they miss you, why they feel a certain way, but they're going to feel that positive shift. So you need to just keep focusing on showing up as the version of you who's already in that end result, the confident, chosen, wanted, valued, secure version of yourself who's in that end result connection, that's when they will match you. That's when they will meet you there. The 3D reality will catch up. The circumstances will align in whatever way needs to naturally and positively happen. Keep holding on to that assumption. That's going to be, your best friend, your security throughout this whole process. And I'm going to finish up this video here. So I hope that was beneficial to you guys. If you enjoyed, of course, please do thumbs up, subscribe, turn on that notification bell, and I'll see you next time.